Hour 2 Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan. We've got Mini Gerry later in the hour coming up. Little rapid-fire Mini Gerrys.
Nice.
All right, little sliders. That's how I would probably describe it. Just appies. Little Mini Gerry appies in about a half an hour. And James Duthie coming up on the eve of the Masters. We will have our world-famous picks coming up in about 90 minutes. And Brad Faxon will join us as well. So we'll give you a full slate of who's the favorite, who can win this thing, how people are feeling down there at Augusta. So that's coming up.
Dude, it's interesting with Fax Hazy, like being on the Golf Channel for all those hours, and McIlroy's name comes up and how he hasn't got it done, and he works with the guy on the putting green. So It's kind of like it's a difficult position. We'll have to ask him about it. Like, how tough is it? Like, you're coaching this guy on the putting green, probably different elements of the short game, mental, whatever he does.
Right.
And then he's got to talk with all those other guys just wanting to rip him.
It is very difficult to – I mean, the Golf Channel's largely respectful and, like, they're not hot takers and yelling and screaming about Rory.
But, dude, I watched one night, and I don't know what tournament it was on, but Brandel was on, and he was like, all the greatest putters, they putt like this and they finish like this, and Fax was standing there, and I was like, this guy coaches McIlroy.
Right. Yeah, that can be a little bit awkward. Well, we'll see. We'll see what Fax has to say in about 90 minutes.
Yeah. Who was the guy that was the straight shooter? I don't think he's on there anymore. Oh,
Johnny Miller was probably
Johnny Miller, man. He would have a field day with these guys, man. He would go nuts.
Yeah, he loved when a guy would choke, and he'd be the first one to call it.
No, this is what he'd say. He'd say, folks, there's no other way to describe it. He just flat out choked his guts out right there on the 10th fairway. He would.
I love how you soften it with folks.
Yeah.
You know, that's all. Hey, folks. And then he goes, there's no other way to put it.
Yeah, there's no other way to put it. Or somebody would chunk of chips, and right away he'd go, that's just nerves. Because other guys are like, look at this club head rotating. Miller would be like, that's just nerves right there. He couldn't handle the pressure of that shot. And then they would just go back to another guy, and it would be like, suck on that, man.
So great, man. There's nothing analytical about it. It has nothing
honestly,
to do with
like getting into this business, he's one of the guys that I kind of admired, and I'm not as – but I respected the fact that that's what it was. Like, sometimes doing broadcasting and analysis, it's like, that's just what that was. Like, Johnny Miller took it, like, he watched one guy swing one time, and he was like, oh, my God, like, so-and-so, like, he was passed away. He'd be rolling over in his grave watching that golf swing. And I was like, good God, Johnny.
Yeah, that's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
And listen, at times you need the analytical breakdown because there are scenarios where it wasn't.
Yeah, guys' foot slips or, like, whatever.
The wind
sometimes
or whatever.
The pressure of the moment, the guy collapses and they can't do it, and that's what Johnny was all about.
And I appreciate that because there are a lot of times when that is actually what happened. Like it is that simple. And you know, I'm quite curious, like where this Leaf story's going, and if they don't win the division now and they play Florida in the first round, is that going to be labeled a choke? Is it a choke if they don't hold off Tampa?
I don't
think so. Like,
I don't think it's just a missed opportunity for what everybody would. This is the way to describe it: a missed opportunity for what everybody wants for them, because everybody who knows if I don't think the players are afraid to death of Florida. Like us, we've been doing this a long time. We've seen Boston a bunch. We've seen Tampa a bunch. We've seen Florida. The only reason I would like the Ottawa Senators, hey, if you want to throw in the Habs again, is just to do something different. Like, that's the only thing. Like, Battle of Ontario, I'd like to be down at the rink. I'd like to go to Ottawa. I'd like to kind of be involved and just do something different. That's
totally
it.
Agree. Yeah,
but if they don't do it, it's just a missed opportunity for what fans want. And I still don't buy into, avoid Florida. Screw it. Play Florida first if you have to. And like, if you really want to man up and go to a place that you want to go to, get it over with and see if you got the stones to do it.
Well, and you eventually you're gonna, like, all these teams you're playing, you know, are going to be good teams. So you can't avoid them. Like sometimes there is. Whoever plays the winner of Dallas and Colorado might have dodged a bullet technically, but you're still playing that other team that beat them. So it's same situation here. If you end up playing Ottawa and making it through, you're playing one or the other, Tampa or Florida. Those are two great teams. So you've got eventually, you're controlling your own destiny. You have to play well. You have to play to the best of your capabilities, regardless of who you play. And I thought Pulley made a great point going, whoever you play, that's the most important factor. And you're right.
And it's a tough game. It's a tough series. I mean, listen, there's no guarantees the Leafs beat Ottawa. I mean, Ottawa is a good team that's earned their keep. They're in the playoffs for a reason. They've played well against them this year. Linus Ullmark, if he's playing, has the capability of winning 4 games, on his own or putting his team in a position to do that. There's no guarantees in the Stanley Cup playoffs in period. There's no guarantees in life. There's certainly no guarantees when it comes to the Leafs. But I think what you touched on there is an important part of this, kind of segueing from the Johnny Miller stuff as well. The mentality. If the Leafs, and I don't know the answer to this, if they don't feel they can beat Florida, then you don't really believe you can beat anybody. Because if your mentality is, man, I don't know about those guys, but these guys I don't buy it.
Think about that mentality, Brian. Oh, let us try to have some type of easier team so then we can get our heads caved in after that by Florida. What the hell sense does that make?
You either believe in yourself or you don't. And it doesn't guarantee you're going to win either. It doesn't guarantee you anything. But you guys have been in dressing rooms where I'm sure you can feel it on both ends. Like, if you believe in yourself, then that's the mentality we're talking about. Bring it. And we're going to put it on the line, and we think we can win, and we think we can beat anybody.
The only way sometimes a matchup is advantageous, and I always say the only reason you want to get into the playoffs, because somebody else can take care of your boogeyman for you. Sometimes couple teams get upset in the first round. You're like, oh, my God, this is our path. If we can just do this, we could go to the final.
Yeah, but then what happened, that's what happened with Boston and Florida. We want Florida.
Amy, there was 20,000 people chanting, we want Florida, and they got them, and they got smoked.
And look what happened, exactly.
But that's my point, and I think you guys are saying it as well. It's just, in a perfect world, yes, would you like to have an easier pathway? But I just don't believe there's an easier pathway. What I believe is, you create your own luck. You create your own pathway, and you got to play well and play to the best of your capabilities. Yes, are there certain teams that are different on paper? Absolutely. But the teams that you're going to play against, if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, all of them deserve to be in the playoffs. All of them deserve to, on their own right, to have success. Yes, Ottawa, this is their first time around, but they're not just going to go, I had first time around, so you know what, we'll hand you 4 games and we'll see you later. They want it too. So I think it's controlling your own destiny by playing to your capability. I'll keep coming back to it.
Exactly. Look in the mirror and have faith in yourself. And execute the way you're supposed to execute. Last night, not good enough, but it doesn't matter. It's a regular season game. You get back in the saddle tonight in Tampa, right? Big game, massive, massive game tonight in Tampa, where the Lightning are waiting for you. The Leafs have played the Lightning very well this year, and it's a bit, forget the playoffs, you just got to be better than the way you were last night. And it starts with their big boys. The crazy thing about Augusta National and the Masters, and I'm sure covering it, is you really go down there, you probably just get in a complete bubble. You're all golf all the time. I'm curious if our next guest is even aware of what happened in Florida last night. Is he aware that the Ottawa Senators have punched their ticket to the playoffs? I'm sure he is.
Well, yeah.
Because he's such a professional. Here he is.
Well,
our main man, James Duthie,
he's
live
Mr.
from
Ottawa.
Augusta National. Are you aware of what else is going on in the world, JD, or are you in all Masters all the time mode right now?
I mean, we can't take our phones on the golf course, but we are allowed the rest of the time.
Okay.
So I'm not an idiot. I'm not on a deserted island.
All right.
So I am fully aware. I mean, I didn't catch the Leafs game last night, so I just heard what you guys have said and reaction on social media. But you are right. You do get. I find this happens to me twice a year. It happens at the World Juniors, and would dub second this that you kind of just forget the NHL for the 2 weeks of the World Juniors when you're focused on the Latvian defense. And it happens here at the Masters where you do get completely engrossed in this thing. But, when we're back at the house at night, we try to watch hockey games if we can get them and keep half an eye on what's going on.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Like Ottawa, officially punched a ticket last night. Montreal beats Detroit and Reg. That basically means they're in. which means you're going to have all 3 Eastern Canadian teams in. Winnipeg's in. Edmonton's in.
I can't wait. I mean, the first round is nuts every year. We always say this. We're 3 nights into the first round. We're like, oh my goodness, this is the greatest thing ever, and that's often with 2 Canadian teams making it. So this year, if it is Toronto, Ottawa, if it is Montreal in a separate series, man, it's going to be 2 of the best weeks. Period. But
yes. I
got to focus on tomorrow morning because these are my favorite 4 days. Look at the first round of the playoffs and probably the Masters. The fact they go back to back. I always say this, like the Masters is amazing, but it's more amazing for what it represents, right? When you turn it on Thursday morning and it's not just the Masters, but you're like, okay, the hockey playoffs are around the corner and you can kind of smell summer. And the golf courses are starting to open back home. I know you've had a couple of rough weather days there, but you know what I mean? I think there's something about the Masters that's more than the Masters, at least for Canadians, because it kind of just represents the end of a long winter. And it's just the perfect way to kick off the fun times.
So just before we get into hardcore golf talk, I just want to hear about your attire. I mean, is it tight shirt after tight shirt? Like, where are you at here? Are you well aware of how you're going to, especially your right arm? Like, I don't know if you know this, but I always watch.
Are you pinning it back again?
Yeah, the right arm with the microphone.
First of all, I'm not in master shape. Graham Dillette suggested the other day, and I seconded this, that we should get dumbbells on the set, to just do a little pump before we come on camera.
Crazy, man. That's a porn move.
It's a porn.
I have a little, a little porn labrum, so I haven't been working out much. So I'm a little, skinnier. So I don't know if it's Puma that has given me, slightly bigger size shirts, but I don't think I'm going to get quite the, the youth medium blowback that I get in most years. And probably not the fit. It's probably because I'm not in shape anymore. I've given up on that.
Okay. Well, we'll mix that into the budget next year. Get you guys some 10-pound dumbbells, 15s, 20s. Weeksy looks great down there. You guys are dialed in. There's been coverage all week. And I don't know if you caught Cam Smith on the range today.
Dude,
wearing,
what the hell was he doing?
He's wearing a sports
suit
coat.
jacket, yeah.
What was the explanation on that from Cam?
Well, I don't know. DeChambeau made comments earlier in the week about how the Liv golfers have gotten some heat in the past for the way they look. I don't know if they mean, just at the majors where they're wearing their Crushers shirts and it doesn't really look the best at some place like Augusta National. I didn't know if he was being sarcastic, because the Liv guys usually stand up for themselves. So I don't know if this was a comment on that. Oh, you want us to look more professional? I'm going to wear a suit, basically, on the driving range when I'm practicing, or if there was some other inside joke. Because if you look close, he had his logo. I don't know what team Cam Smith plays for, but he had his logos on the suit. But that was, between that and Hovland's sweater yesterday, it's been a bit of a show. I don't know if you saw that. It looked kind of a summer version of the ugly Christmas sweater, but I guess they can get away with. I don't think we're going to see anybody wearing a suit jacket come round 1 or round 2 of the Masters, but Cam was doing some sort of inside joke that I didn't understand.
Yeah, that's Jimmy, a weird place, man, to pull that kind of statement off.
Have you seen any of these? Like, people are talking a lot about these trees that are gone. Like, have you put eyes on this? Is this like a noteworthy topic or what?
Okay, well, I don't think it will be when you guys turn on the TV tomorrow. I'm curious, and send me a text. I don't know that you will notice it. It's not like you walk on the premises and you go, oh my God, what happened here? Because for your listeners who don't know, 1,600 trees went down in the hurricane that happened, I think, end of September, Helene. But it is noticeable if you've been here a lot. And the first place you notice it is when you're sort of standing on 10T, walking down that fairway. So for those who haven't been here, 10 is kind of one of the higher points of the golf course, and you go really severely downhill to Amen Corner. So if you're standing on 10 or walking down 10 fairway, Augusta Country Club is right next door to Augusta National Golf Course, and you could never see it before. And now you have a clear view onto that golf course. So that's the first thing you notice, where, oh my goodness, there's another golf course right next door here. Then there's parts, remember when Len Matisse got in the playoff with Weirzy
and absolutely
and hit that tree down there.
Soiled his shorts down by the tree.
Yeah, so where Len Matisse was there, he probably wouldn't have that problem today because a bunch of trees are out down there. So like what I think will be most interesting is like there are several places around 16 too. There's a bunch of trees missing where you do notice it there. Where there's certain points on the golf course where you can see through to other fairways and other greens where you couldn't before. So let's say they have a playoff again and it ends up on 10, and you hit the ball down where Len Matisse hit it. There's probably, I don't know how many trees were there before. I'd have to go look at the tape, but it seems like there's only a third of the amount of trees that there were there. So it's definitely like noticeable in a subtle way when you're walking around the golf course, but I don't think watching on TV you're going to notice any difference.
With James Duthie live from Augusta ahead of the Masters starting tomorrow. So if I were to give you these two options, as a storyteller, as a guy who covers the tournament and has been doing it for a long time, one option is Rory McIlroy wins the tournament, and we experience that, and we talk about it for the next 4 days, and then on Monday and Tuesday and basically the rest of his career. Or you can create any other outcome, any other story that you think would be actually better than that. Which would you take, Rory or the field? And if you take the field, what would that story be?
Okay, I mean, I love the Rory story, but I would take the field and, just selfishly, Nick Taylor, beating Scotty Scheffler in a playoff. I think from a Canadian standpoint, it's, something like that, or Corey Connors breaking through. I think you almost have to take the Canadians out of that question because I think it would be hard to beat something like that, and only having the second ever green jacket from a Canadian. So if you took the Canadians out of that question, that's a tougher question for me. Maybe, I don't think the world would agree with this. Somebody like Spieth winning, just because I think he's completely fascinating and he just hits it all over the yard. And, for him to find it again here and win would be interesting. But you're probably right. Besides if you're really saying the field, if Bernie Longer wins in his last Masters, when they were showing his yardages now with his clubs, and it's the first time ever a professional golfer where I hit the ball farther than him on many of the clubs. So I suppose something like that. But realistically, Rory would be the story, and I'm all for it. I just think, first of all, you're sick of talking about it. I've been coming here. I think I started covering the Masters full time again about the time that Rory started trying to finish the Grand Slam, so 11 or 12 years ago, and I'm sick of talking about it. I know Rory's sick of hearing about it, and I think this is honestly the best chance he's ever had the way he's playing. So I think that would be an ideal story outside of a Canadian.
Jimmy, every year you guys go through the Canadians and what they need to do. I mean, they're all capable. They can, to play at that level, they all hit it the same. But, what really has to happen as opposed to the old, this putter's got to get hot? Do they just have to get to a different level? Does it just take a different animal or to get to a different level as an athlete to get that done at that golf course?
Look, we're not fooling our listeners. You and I text each other on Sunday sometimes when guys are in contention, and we just feel like we know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
is that they're gonna shoot 74 on Sunday and finish 12th, and I don't know what that is. It's cool to have 4 Canadians in the field. These guys have all won on tour and have good resumes, and Pendrith has 3 top 10s this year. Nick's already won. Connors is playing the best of his life. But you're right. You always feel like they're not quite at the level to win. I mean, to be realistic about it, Nick has missed 9 straight cuts in majors. So Nick's the guy that if he gets in Nick's the one guy, I would say this.
How do you explain that, first of all? 9 straight cuts in majors.
It's insane. Because I don't know what it is about Nick. Obviously, he doesn't have the game that some of the best players in the world have. But what Nick has, and what I would say here is, if Nick was the guy who was there on Sunday, if Nick was, in the lead, shot off the lead, 3 shots off the lead, he would be the guy that I would believe could get it done because he's one of the best closers on tour. Whenever he gets a sniff, he wins. That's what he does. Whereas, Corey is always there, but, besides the Valero Texas Open, can't get it done. And Pendrith, I just think, maybe have the best game of the three, with his length and stuff for this course, but I think first-timer, it's just too much to ask. So, look, most realistically, I think, it would have to be a situation where, Corey's putter gets hot, which it actually has for the first time in ages, like at times this year, where it's looked decent. And, maybe he gets in a situation where he's, in the third or fourth to last group, posts a low number, and maybe some guys, somehow Scotty and Rory or whoever, DeChambeau, who's ever up near the top, kind of falter, and he wins like in a Danny Willett kind of way. I think that's the most realistic thing to happen. Because look, these guys are, to have three Canadians in the top, whatever it is, even in this field is impressive, but let's face it, there's another level for the Scotties and Rorys and DeChambeaus and so on. So it's tough, but I think they would have to win that way. It's hard for me to say this, but I have trouble seeing Scotty Scheffler and Connors in the last group and Corey being able to beat him. I would love him to prove me wrong.
Yeah, I think what might have to happen is it's just a scattered leaderboard for one of those guys to grab it, because I think what you just said is accurate. You put Scotty Scheffler in a final group or something, I don't think anyone's beaten that guy. He's done it twice. He's comfortable in that position. He was in the final pairing both times he won. It wasn't like he shot a 62 on Sunday and stole it. So, and that is one thing I would say about this Masters, which feels different to me, James, is that last year Scheffler felt like a lock. The year before, Rahm felt like a lock or close to it. Scheffler, prior to that, this year, Scheffler hasn't won. He had the injury. Schauffele was banged up. The Liv guys, we'll see what comes of it. I find it's more difficult for me to really pinpoint a true favorite. I know Scheffler is based on the books. McIlroy is based on who he is. But every 5 or 6 years, there's that one, like a Danny Willett or a Charles Schwartzel, a Mike Weir.
Yeah. Well, it happens. The way Weir.
Oh, you mean a winner that we hate watching, Hayes?
No, I mean a winner that would, on a day like today, the Wednesday, you say that guy's not going to win, and then that guy wins. That's what happened. It's easy to see Scheffler. It's easy to see McIlroy. It's easy to see it because of who they are and what they do. But it doesn't work that way every single year at the Masters or anywhere for that matter.
Yeah, the Willett year is a good year when Jordan fell apart, and the Weirzy year is a good year because there was nobody. I can't remember what happened to Tiger. He was somewhere in the hunt there, but the guys at the front were like Jeff Maggert kind of fell apart, and I think took that stupid penalty where he hit his ball out of the bunker. and Len Matisse. I think realistically, you'd probably need a year like that for one of the Canadians to win. And again, that doesn't diminish what they've done. They're all really good players. I think the Liv guys are really interesting this year, simply because a lot of them are playing well, and it's hard to gauge. Nobody really watches Liv, and it's hard to gauge what those tournaments are. But there's a bunch of really, interesting names playing well. Sergio's hitting the ball like he hasn't in probably 10 years. And, Bryson Koepka is playing pretty well there. And we always, I don't think we said a word about Koepka all week, and sometimes he just shows up at these things. 2 years ago against Rahm, it was him and Rahm down the stretch. Phil's playing okay. Patrick Reed is like an automatic top 20 at the Masters every year, and Patrick Reed's playing well. And if you were to ask me, by the way, the reverse of your first question, the worst storyline I could imagine for myself would be Patrick Reed winning this thing by 3 or something on Sunday. I just don't like the guy. But there's a bunch of Liv players. Joaquin Niemann, who Phil keeps saying is the best player in the world and has already won twice on that tour. So, the Liv guys are always a mystery, but the one, I'm not good at predictions, but I think at least one of those guys is going to be very much in the hunt in the back nine on Sunday.
Yep, absolutely. And that has been the case ever since that tour, came alive. They show up at these tournaments, and there's 2 or 3 of them that are generally in the top 10. All right, JD, get started tomorrow. We can't wait to see it. Thank you for doing this, as always.
All right, thanks, boys. Take it easy.
There's James Duthie, live from Augusta National.
Dude, you ever wanted to see an underpants cam early on in the round? Maggert, top of the leaderboard, skank ball in the bunker, and hits himself? Dude, back in the day where you had to penalize yourself for the ball hitting you.
Right.
This guy was, if there was brown liquor in a glass in his golf bag, I think he would have chugged it and walked right off. It was insane.
Jeff Maggert.
Maggert skank ball in the bunker and hits himself. God, he was so
old
pissed.
School names like that. Well, and you knew it at that time. He's
Joe
like,
from the bridge, try to find me Maggert hitting like a skank ball in the bunker and then hits himself.
Well,
I was like, this guy's gonna have a meltdown, man.
Right.
Like a 9 to 5 or 6 beers deep meltdown in that bunker.
Yeah, it's just it is trunk slamming behavior where you have to get out of there because you know what's coming. And I'll bet you Brad Faxon was in that Masters. Fax could probably remember that. And that's the thing. Like when Weir won in 03, he was if not top 10, he was real close to it. He would have launched into that after he won the Masters, and he had been very competitive and was a very good player. But Tiger was in it. The Tiger was in his prime, and Phil Mickelson. And on the Wednesday before that Masters, everyone would have been saying, well, Tiger Woods will win, or Phil Mickelson will win, or Ernie Els will win, or David Duval will win. And Mike Weir said, actually, I'm going to win. And that happens like every once in a while. I don't know if it'll be this year.
Mike Weir wedged his way to a green jacket. So did Zach Johnson. Is anyone ever, the way the game is played now, going to wedge their way to a green jacket?
Very difficult with the
Are
way
they even
going to
attempt to? Like, I don't think Nick Taylor is the longest player.
No, he's not.
I still think that he wouldn't try to wedge his way. Like, in his head, his strategy is not, maybe I can wedge my way to a green jacket right now. I don't know if it competes, man. We'll have to ask Fax.
It's a great question because we should look up. I would guess on 13 and on 15, Weir laid up probably
every time, I think.
Every time.
And I think so did Zach Johnson.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. All right, Fax coming up in about an hour. Mini Gerry rapid fire appies, right? There's so much going on in sports. We're going to do some appies here, courtesy of Gerry. Later this hour, more on the Leafs, more on the Jays. The Vladdy signing is official. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Crack staff. Joe from the bridge. He immediately went and dug up Maggert in the bunker. Skank ball, hits himself. Joe, go for it. Look at this guy. Third hole, he just hits it, and then it hits him. He is so mad right now. I remember looking at him saying he just lost the golf turn.
He just waves. Who's he waving to?
His caddy.
He's pointing to his chest, and he's like, I just hit myself in the chest with the ball. And it's just like, this is the final round of the Masters, man. He is so mad.
Yeah. That one, you take a penalty like that, it's such a bad break. But
right off the top of the bunks, and he's just and then comes back and hits him right in the nipple, and he's fuming.
Jeff Maggert. Oh, that's so funny. Like, it's not. It's horrible, but it's funny.
It is.
What hole was that? Because he obviously must have been.
I think it was the third hole.
Okay,
yeah,
so he must have been hitting a
6-iron
or 7-iron trying to get it up onto the green.
No, dude, that would not have been the third hole is only 312 yards long.
20 years ago, these guys were hitting at 240. It's uphill. I mean, you're right. I mean, maybe it was closer to a wedge, but if it's a wedge, you got to get that ball out of that bunker, man.
Dude, it's a terrible shot by Mags.
Just seeing that alone, you can see how rattled he is.
Oh, immediately.
Third hole, you're like, I'm done. I just cost myself the Masters. You got Tiger Woods wheeling around that golf course, and you're hitting yourself in the chest? No way.
You're just saying that's
man. Jeff Maggert. Anyway, we'll ask Fax about that if he's ever been in a similar situation to that in about an hour. All right, Mini Gerrys. The reason we're doing this is we've been using Mini Gerry a lot recently, to the point where other people are using it. Johnny used it in a telecast a couple nights ago. Yeah, so we want to stake our claim, and Jerry's a busy guy. He's got a lot of things going on. He said, I can't be there, personally, but I'll fire off some Mini Gerrys, and we're going to apply the same percentages to them. It's just going to be rapid fire, little appies. Okay, you guys ready for this?
Go ahead.
All right, Mini Gerrys to start. At least 3 Canadian teams will make it into the second round of the playoffs.
Oh, I can't get. I'm low on that, man. Like, Everyone's so fired. I had a senior hockey executive at TSN guarantee last night that a Canadian team would be in the conference final.
Well,
guaranteed.
You're getting 5 tickets.
No, it
5
wasn't.
tickets. Okay.
Yeah, he was like, actually, he might have said cup final. He was like, I can guarantee a cup final. And I was like, that's a little bit aggressive, man. He's like, look how many shots we have.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get into it. But this, 3 teams advance?
Into the second round. Yeah, that's it.
I'm 20% on that, man. Sorry.
You are a hater.
No, dude, you're going to be 10. I know that's what you do. You do it all the time. You chirp my low percentage and you say, I'll go lower. Watch this.
No, you are a hater.
Hayes is over 50% on this. I'm in your I'm a little bit higher, but not. I'm just playing the odds. So I'm going to say 28%. I'm, 1 in 4 type of thing.
Yeah.
I know there's 5 teams, but
dude, I know you're not that optimistic.
I can
you're
see a
go
couple, but I
either
can't
of us.
see 3 is.
Yeah,
okay,
like
well,
that's
let me map this out for you. Battle of Ontario, if that happens, guaranteed 1, right? One of them's getting through. So there's 1. You need 2 more. Winnipeg, St. Louis, Winnipeg, Minnesota. I think Winnipeg's going to win that series. I do. I think they're in a good position to do that. No guarantees, but I feel pretty good about that. That's 2. I need Edmonton, LA, Montreal, Washington. Montreal's in tough, man. I mean, Washington is a juggernaut right now, but they're kind of leaking oil coming home. They got to prove themselves. And I love LA. I do. I love the way they played. I love the way they played at home. But Edmonton has had their number in the playoffs.
I'll tell you one thing, and this is not to try to cast doom and gloom. A lot of things are going to have to come together quickly for the Edmonton Oilers to be off and running. Like, I'm talking Evander Kane, their goaltender, the way they played in general, all of it. Like, they got to get the excitement back. That operation has got to get up and running very quickly.
Very valid.
I don't disagree with that. The only thing is I just don't know if the Battle of Alberta is going to happen. Battle of Alberta, Battle of Ontario. That's the only thing. If you're right.
There's no guarantees.
If we're talking today, if we're talking today and the Battle of Ontario is locked in, I would be higher on that number.
Guys, the reason I wanted to see the Battle of Ontario, or I want to see I want to see what Ottawa's rink looks like during a playoff game. If Toronto fans could invade that rink, would they be allowed, or would they shut down tickets?
Well, they're going to try everything they can to avoid it. You know that in Ottawa.
Because that would be disappointing, man. You wait all this time to get to the playoffs, and your barn is loaded with blue and white jerseys.
Well, if you have season tickets, don't sell them then. That would be my
advice.
That's
your play.
You know what I mean?
That's
right. That's one of the things. Listen, this is a Battle of Alberta, I keep saying Alberta. Sorry, Battle of Ontario. I mean, you're going to have fans from Ottawa buying tickets here. Like it's going to. That's why it's the Battle of Ontario. That's my only thing. Hayes, I would be higher if it was locked in Battle of Ontario. Because then I could see, you could make the case for whether Edmonton or whether Winnipeg or maybe this Montreal team just shocks the world. Mm-hmm. We just, they
have a lot of good
team,
mojo going right now.
And they do. But that's right now, ask me that question a week from now if they're locked in, and then I'll be higher. That's
I'm
the
only
only
say
thing.
40%.
I'm
going to
28.
Say I'm at 40%.
They're playing to the crowd. You don't even mean that.
I do.
He's higher. I'm telling you. He's
Listen,
being generous. You're being actually conservative at 40.
Well, that's another thing. I mean, it's not. There's no guarantees. I get it. You can spin it every which way for all of these teams. Like I understand that. I think the point you make about Edmonton is very well stated. They're in a weird place with these injuries. They're losing a lot of games. Skinner's still not back, and who's going to play in net? And then you're going to start in LA. LA's lost 5 games at home all year, or whatever it is. That's tough, man.
Dude,
that is a lot tougher than people.
They got a lot of and we haven't even mentioned the most important thing. LA's playing damn good hockey, and they're good at home.
They're a really good team. Well, you just mentioned they've only lost. LA's a good team. You can't sleep on them. I think Edmonton is got to just worry about health.
You get Rocco with the fake eye cooking, watch out.
Yeah, he's. If you actually look at the numbers, like Kemper could be in the conversation and, Vezina top 5 type of thing for sure. He's been that good for them. Right. But LA's a good team. I don't think that's not a lock. I don't think any of these things are a lock. Winnipeg, it comes back to what we talked about in the 4 o'clock hour. until you show me, because Winnipeg's had a tough time in the first round. Now, you look at who they played, like they're going to get a better opponent this time around. I think they're better suited. But show me first before
Absolutely.
I go all in.
Yeah,
right?
I hear you. I'm not saying it's a lock by any means.
Right.
The only thing that would be a lock is if the Battle of Ontario happens. One of them is going to get through. One of them has to be in the second round. Exactly. Beyond that, there isn't a guarantee. I got it.
Yeah.
Mini Gerry, number 2. Rory McIlroy will miss the cut.
0%, dude.
Dude, he's done it twice in the last, 3 years.
Go
ahead. Sorry.
You might have to fact
apologies.
check on that one because I don't think he's missed the cut twice in the last 3 years.
Okay. I thought it was twice.
I know what he can do, though. He can just make the cut and then all of a sudden be a hero on late Saturday. Or no, what he does is he has a good round early Saturday morning because he's going out so early. And then he presses on the back nine to just act like he's in the mix, but he's really not. I think we've got a different Rory. I saw a tweet today that he might be reading that book that the dude from the Eagles was reading on the sidelines, man. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, that's a bit strange, but
that is a bit strange. I just think he's gotten to an age where he's like, I hit the ball too good to not have success at this course. And I think he's just ready. But, dude, it's worrisome. As good as that guy is, 11 years without a major.
That's what is crazy, man. Forget Augusta. This guy hasn't won a major in a decade.
Yeah. So he's clipping through 4 a year, where at any time this guy could be hitting the ball better than any of these guys, and at the end he can't find a way to get it done. Pinehurst a couple years ago is a prime example. It was like he missed some putts that were a foot long.
That was last year, man. That was 8 months ago. He was doing that. He missed the cut in 23 and in 21. 2 of the last 4 years, he's missed the cut at Augusta.
I just think he's too. Isn't he just the guy who always finishes second? So I feel like, I feel like he'll make the cut. I'm low on this because I feel he'll make it. The question is, does he do Greg Norman type of stuff?
Okay, so I'm with you. I mean, I'm 10% he misses the cut. What is the percentage, Mini Gerry, he wins the tournament then? Because I'd say it's 10% too.
That's where I'm
think
low.
This year I got a different feeling. And I'll admit right now, if you gave me the first pick, I would take him and leave Scotty for you.
Is that right?
That is a factual statement.
All right.
If you want to just agree on that, you get Scotty, I get Rory. We can shake hands on that right now. It's a free gift from me to you.
He would take that in a heartbeat, would you not?
Listen, I will say, though, history would suggest winning back-to-back and winning 3 and 4 years is incredibly difficult to do. I'm not convinced Scheffler can do that.
So you're saying first pick you wouldn't even be taking Scotty.
I think, listen, I want to ride with McIlroy. I want to believe. And I love the way he's playing. He's coming in red hot. And I want to be a part of that story. So I don't want to be rooting against him, but fine. You take McIlroy, I'll take Scheffler, and we'll figure out the rest. All right? That's coming up in 45 minutes. All right, let me continue with these Gerrys. These aren't really appies. We're going 7 minutes per.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, it's bite. Good. We can do this a lot. I can do this all day, man.
Mini Gerrys, I love it. What's your Mini Gerry percentage on Vladdy playing out the full contract with the Blue Jays?
Are you kidding me, dude? Absolutely below. If there's a below 0 rating on that answer, it's totally below 0. No one sticks around for 14 years with happiness and no way, man. I bet you that actually ends on a sour note somehow. This guy will be 37 years old with a boiler wheeling out to first base, and they're like, get the hell out of here.
He'll be Sandoval.
Pablo Sandoval, yeah.
He'll be Jake Taylor, just blowing belt buckles at first base, and they'll take him out in a gurney. No way.
You're the only guy going out anywhere in a gurney right now.
We got to get into the rock conversation.
Yeah,
dude,
we will.
Thanks for the pick, because I'm going to use it in the lawsuit. Thanks for the pick.
Who doesn't see a rock sitting on the road?
That's a boulder.
I don't know what's going on. It was a
boulder, dude.
We'll put the pick up of the boulder, and we'll let the people decide. You notice there's no other boulders? That thing just shows up in the middle of nowhere. It's like someone planted it.
But if you're paying attention,
Vladdy finishes
you don't drive into the boulder.
Exactly.
That's what I'm like.
No. Dude, you're a fugitive in Kitchener. I don't think you're allowed there anymore.
So. Honest to God, I was
dude, we'll post the pick of the boulder
and
Ford. Yeah.
Look
at that boulder.
Yeah, but how do you run into it? That's the thing. The
because that dirt mark, the dirt mark beside the boulder is my left front tire. I was just driving out of the lot. I can't see that rock. Why is that damn rock there? You tell me. It's just magically there. Notice how there's nice grass.
But the rock is
nice
on the grass
and trees.
So you're going to drive across the grass to get out of there too?
There was no grass. All I tried to do is that's the driveway right there. I was the last parking spot, and I just tried to leave, and that stupid boulder's there.
Dude,
give me a break.
Tommy Lee Jones is on your heels right now.
Jeff Kimball? What is it?
Richard Kimball. I'm psyched with the one arm.
Yeah, you're in trouble in Kitchener, man.
Anyway, I just don't understand how you don't see that. That is a giant rock.
I drive a big truck. How do you see the truck? How do you see the boulder when you're in a truck?
But explain how you missed it. You were driving forward and you ran into it?
Dude,
I think he was blocked in and he decided to drive out.
Look I'm going to tell you again. My car, my right tire is on that pool of water, okay?
Yeah.
You see so all I'm doing to leave is just cranking it to the right, and the driveway's right there. All of a sudden I hear this boulder thing on my car. I'm like, what the hell is that? And I get out, and there's this giant rock right there. Please, someone write in. I'm not the only one that's ever done this. Somebody planted a boulder while I'm at a volleyball tournament.
Yeah. And
really
you don't
cool.
see it as you walk up even? I don't understand.
Daytime,
you have
or was
no
it
idea. I was looking up to the heavens when I was walking into the building.
I heard the story, and yes, you're lucky that you even got into your vehicle without a stretcher and all of that. They probably brought you out
getting sidetracked. Vladdy finishes his contract in Toronto.
I'm going to say 51%. I'm higher on this. The ink isn't even dry. You're running him out of town in 10 years. It's a long contract, but if they're paying him anyway, it may be a scenario in 12 years that we just got to move on. You're out, DFA. I don't even know if you can do that in terms of his 10 and 5 rights and all that. It gets complicated with veterans and how many rights they have in baseball as well. Or you chew a bunch of money and you move on from him, or he retires. I can't imagine that's going to happen. I don't know. I mean, at this point, I think you got to envision this guy being a Blue Jay for the next 14 and a half years, 15 years, 51%.
Yeah, I'm low on the – I don't want to run the guy out of town, but I just think it might be even a long-term injury that this guy just goes.
It's a crazy long deal.
It's such a long deal that so many things can happen, but I don't think he finishes as a Blue Jay. Now, he might become one of the greatest Blue Jays of all time.
Oh, he better be for now. Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
That's what they're committing to.
I'm 18% on this. I'm low.
Okay. All right. Well, I got a lot more Mini Gerrys ready for us here. So we'll continue this. We got Dregs coming up, Brad Faxon, our picks, and I guess it's been established you're taking Rory and I'm taking Scheffler. So we're going to do, an 8-pack beyond that? I think we're going to have a Canadian. We're going to have a Liv player. We're going to have a past champion on there from 2014 and before. So an old school, not in the last decade, champion on our list. We're going to get to all that in under an hour. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Gentlemen, I had some shocking viz sent to me from one of the great Masters champions and a Canadian. You believe that? Mike Weir, the great Canadian, he won the Masters, and earlier this year he was at the Players' Championships, and there's a thing called What's in the Bag, which the player details what clubs are in the bag. Here's Mike Weir and Bob Weeks.
So you got a new putter in the bag. This doesn't look like a typical Mike Weir style of putter, but how's it working?
Yeah, it's working good so far. The lab putter I put in because I haven't been putting very well and just need to shake it up a little bit. But Hayes is a fraud, by the way.
Oh, what a dirty trick that is.
So uncalled for, Mike. I've always supported Mike Weir, and everyone knows that.
That was a rotten thing that he did right there.
That's uncalled for, and it was so comfortable and smooth.
I didn't see that coming
I
at
didn't
all.
see that one coming either. I thought he was going to say something to Weeksy about, hey, and the boys back home, but he just jabs me.
That hurts.
That was supposed to be like a nerd out kind of, look, this. I took a little bit loft off my 6-iron.
Right.
My wedges are grinded down to a different grind. He just looked into that camera and said, by the way, that Bryan Hayes is a fraud.
And did you
That's
see,
a Masters champion.
that was smooth too.
Yeah.
Like the other guys, you could tell at times they've got it in their back pocket. They got to get it out before they leave.
Yeah.
You know, Weirzy, like he's sitting there, he's like, yeah, you know, putting hasn't been great. Oh, by the way, like, and then just got right back into it. I'll bet you if you
and
continue
I'll tell
that
you
tape,
what, that Bobby Weeks, he had a smile on his face,
I know.
which almost meant, yeah, he is a fraud.
I'm gonna
he
have
was
some words
doubling
with
down.
That's
Bob Weeks
exactly
when he
right.
returns.
Who you should talk to.
I'll talk to him tomorrow.
You sometimes worry that things are AI generated too. Like that wasn't. That was
No.
like legit.
That was
Real
impressive.
deal Holyfield.
That hurts, man. That's a Masters winner. One of my idols, Mike Weir,
Yeah.
perpetuating this myth that I'm a fraud, and I it bothers me. It bothers me. That's troubling. But at the same time, maybe it's a compliment, right? Mike Weir's been on the show. We saw him, right? We had him. Was he up at the RBC Canadian Open? He joined us last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
For a little
And don't
round
even
table.
think about taking one of my boys. You know the guy that I always take because one of his caddies, one of my boys.
Yes, I know who you're
And
talking
he just
about.
said, we're riding this week, so don't even go near that.
I'll leave you that guy, but that means we're going to have to negotiate a little bit because we've got picks coming up. We've already established it. You're taking Rory. I'm taking Scheffler. We've got an 8-pack beyond that, Canadian. We've got a Liv player. We've got a past champ, and then we got some other things cooking as well into the final hour. Brad Faxon coming up as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.